What's the plan here? They didn't know that the grandma was going to shoot Frankenstein.
It's a great point. What was the plan? What was the plan?
I can't help thinking, somewhere in the universe, there has to be something better than man. Has to be. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Ascension To Ten.
Okay.
I started hitting the tracker. I started hitting the tracker instead of the volume, so all of a sudden I took the track backwards. All right,
Wow.
here we are.
Oh,
What an
that's a new
icebreaker.
one. That's a new one.
Yep, that's right. That
We're
was a
back,
special
baby.
one. We're back. We have a third person with us tonight, John.
And it's not Bryan.
It's not.
He's never coming back.
He's never coming
He's
back.
off the show permanently. Permanent replacement right
Permanent
here with
replacement.
us. This is our friend
For-
Alan.
Permanent replacement for one time.
For one
Yeah,
time.
there you go.
One time only.
Limited
this is-
engagement.
This is our friend Alan. We, Spenny and I have been friends for a really long time, and Alan has been part of that picture the entire time.
The
Valley
entire
Springs
time.
Elementary. Yeah, we've been friends.
Spencer and I lived in the country together.
We lived in the country together. Yeah, the first play date I ever had with my friend, I think, was Alan, and I brought my Power Rangers over. I
Yeah.
literally welcomed him when he let me in the door, and I just held the Power Ranger in front of me.
That's a pro friend move.
Friendship ever since. So yes,
for
we lived in
the 8 to 10 lore enthusiast out there. I can't remember which episode this was, but Spenny brought up the fact that, or he told this story about how he told our friend Alan that he was his best friend, but then Alan said, "You're not my best friend. You're just my friend," or whatever.
Yeah.
So this is Alan. This is the guy.
This is the guy.
That story.
Cut me to the core, man. Still to this day.
And I think I remember saying it. So like after the fact, I feel like I knew I screwed up. I shouldn't have said that, because even that has stuck with me, and it like probably hurt your feelings more than it hurt mine.
That's right. Well, I'm glad you could admit that, but
I'd like to formally apologize.
no, it's good. It's water under the bridge.
That was a
Oh,
story that
yeah.
we've been telling stories on this podcast the entire time we've had the podcast. And some of the stories will, either Spenny or I would tell, or maybe Bryan told a couple stories here and there. But it's fun to collect stories. And that story was something I wasn't a part of. And I have this memory of another story of you two having a fight that I wasn't there for, but it was you two outside of a bar in Minneapolis. One of you was crying, and it was about big oil or something, right?
Yes.
That?
I had just gone to
Ice? Was it Iceland?
Yeah, Denmark, Norway, and Iceland. And it was all about renewable energy and how they could exist without a bunch of fossil fuels and stuff.
Right.
You
And I
two,
was
you two were
interning-
you two were at a wind turbine factory or something, right? Or they made the blades there?
Yeah,
or
it was like
something,
all of it.
or-
It was like hydroelectric power and wind turbines and all that good stuff. Yeah, so like
Yeah,
renewable energy was.
Yeah. But it was funny because that summer I was interning for somebody, and it was a financial advisor, and one of the things they were selling was
Oh yeah.
oil leases for in the oil fields in Texas. So we got into a big debate about big oil. 'Cause you had just come back.
A drunken debate.
A drunken
Yeah.
one, yeah. It was not
Yeah.
not a heartfelt one. But you literally threw your keys across the parking lot and said, take the keys and get out of here.
Man, I guess our friendship has always run a little hot at times.
Right.
We're streaky.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I guess.
I do have one story that I don't even know if you'll remember this, Alan, or not. But we used to, like, I'd come over to your house and we'd play and hang out and stuff. But I think it was either like end of elementary school or maybe middle school. You had this like Zen waterfall on your desk.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like a little, I think it had like a face on it, and then like the water would come down over the top.
Right.
Yeah.
But one of the
Mhm.
things that you always did to make it so the water would go across evenly is like you'd take like oil from your nose or something and you'd rub it across so it would all flood down in the same thing.
Yeah, I think it like came with something that you're supposed to do that. And like you dribble it over the top. So I don't remember the nose. That's kind of gross, but I guess
Well,
I
thank you.
maybe see the reasoning.
Well, thank you. Well, this will help. So I always remember that, and the part of the thing that I remember is we would do that, and then you'd rub it across, and then it would like let the water run perfectly even. So for some reason in my head, I thought, oh, that's a great thing. And in college and a lot of my adult life, I used to do that on the rim of a coffee carafe. So like, the glass thing that you pot your
Wipe
coffee
your-
pot.
Your nose oil on your coffee pot?
So that I would pour it so it would evenly do it without having to like, I don't know, so it would drip and stuff. So
Did somebody like finally see you do this and say like, what the hell are
that
you
was
doing?
My dad looked at me and he's like, what are you doing? Like, what is wrong with you? And I was like, I gave him the explanation. I was like, oh, I remember my friend Alan. He had this waterfall, and I took the oil and I rubbed it across the waterfall.
I don't even understand what you're solving with the coffee pot. Doesn't it have like a little dispenser?
I don't know.
Man.
But that is, that was the logic to the coffee pot. It's Alan's waterfall, Zen waterfall.
Whoa.
Rub your finger.
Wow.
Holy smokes. Oh my God. Alan probably just did that randomly. He was probably just scratching his nose or something and like was playing around with it. And you just
Just totally misinterpreted the whole thing. It was like, oh.
I even feel like I thought it was just by like, it's not because you probably put anything on. It's probably just like rubbing your finger across.
Yeah.
Just like broke some surface tension or something.
Yeah.
And that's all it was. It had nothing to do with like what you're putting on there.
Oh man, Spenny.
Wow.
That's amazing.
That was just one of those stories that I was like, because my dad was like, he looked at me like, are you even my son? Like, you're an idiot.
Was it at that moment that you stopped doing it?
Totally. I've never done it again.
Oh, that's so awesome.
So,
wow.
So thank you for that. Thank you for that.
Yeah,
It was a vivid memory and led to that.
I like
So
how
I don't
long
know.
you kept doing that. That's amazing.
It was a long time. Shouldn't have
amazing.
been doing it that long. So,
Man, we had so many good times at your place, Alan. I also have this memory of your room, a vivid memory of you having this pipe, like smoking pipe, that was this red and white that your aunt got you from a long time ago. Oh, is he getting it? Oh, he smoked. Oh, it's in the case still. Oh, hell yeah.
My God.
Is that a
That's
face or
awesome.
something?
Yeah, it's like a. I don't know if the light.
Oh, it is.
Oh, hell yeah. Oh, yeah.
And
That's
I think
awesome.
it has my name on it. It's probably not going to focus.
Oh.
It's like it has my name. It has Alan
Whoa.
right there. Yeah, that's not going to show up.
That's so cool.
Nice.
Yeah, my aunt got this for me from Turkey, and then I think my parents, I was like a kid.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
was like for Christmas. I think my parents were like, what the hell? Giving your kids a pipe? And it's like, it's fine because if they use it, like it will stain. And like, yeah, it's like it's super black if you actually use it. So like, I think that was her, like, it's okay because if they use it, you'll know.
Wow,
Yeah. Well,
that's cool.
Well, I'm
Yep.
glad. So many random
Wow,
thoughts.
that was not, that was not planned. It was just right there. That's
Awesome.
Sweet.
I also remember. Okay, so I was back home in South Dakota last week, and I was at my in-laws' place, and in their basement they have one of those exercise bikes that is the front of it's that big fan thing.
Oh,
And
yeah.
Spencer
I
would
always
go to
forgot
town
about
on
that.
that thing.
I just remember
Yes.
we'd have a sleepover at your place, and Spenny would get on that thing and piss you the
Yes.
fuck off, Alan, because you would
Just go
go
as fast as I could.
fast.
That thing's like pure metal, it's not like a.
Yeah.
And then it had like the little screw on the top. So you'd have to screw it down, and that would like put a screw through a little hole to lock it in place or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
I remember it was
I
like
just remember like trying to like lock it in.
it's like every time we went to the basement, it was just like got on that thing and just rocked it as
Just
much as I
went to
could.
Just
town
see you
on
like
that
with
thing.
your arms.
Yep. And then
That's
one more thing about that basement is we'd have sleepover. He'd roll out those Coleman sleeping bags.
Still, yeah, they still have those. Those things are legit.
And then just the next morning, the
The
task at hand to
The-
roll those things up
God.
as tight
yes.
as possible.
And you'd have to like sit on it, like
Yep.
really lock it in place.
Yep.
Yeah, and then
I-
those are like one of the only sleeping bags that are actually a tie versus straps. Like I don't think I've seen a sleeping bag that's tie versus straps. Like that
I think
was
it's
it.
partly because like we had this like perfect little cupboard to like slot them in, but for it to work, you really had to get the compression to fit them all, and they're still in the exact same place.
Didn't we?
they're
Didn't we
great.
sleep? We slept on those at your bachelor party, didn't we?
We did.
Yes,
How the
definitely.
hell did those get up to Minneapolis? I don't know. Like,
I just
and we even
remember
had the
having a tie
cots.
up.
Yeah.
We even
that's
had the cots too, like the green
Yep.
fold-out cots with like the metal poles that you'd put in.
Yep.
That's
know.
awesome.
I don't know how we got those. My parents maybe brought them, or Kyle came back with. I don't know.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but that
Uh,
felt right.
Yeah.
That's
So,
good.
okay, what I'd like to do now is for everyone listening, I'm going to show a series of photographs of the three of us from our childhood. So, if you're not watching the YouTube version, go ahead, click over to the YouTube. Links, as always, in the description to check out this rundown of Memory Lane. So,
Ascension to 10 podcast.
Ascension to
This
10
is from your recent
podcast.
trip back to South Dakota.
Yep. So I dug out all of the
Nice.
photo albums that my mom kept and
Oh,
took a
yes.
bunch of pictures. So here we go.
The
This
mark.
is
That's awesome.
What is he doing there? And is that a small child's backpack?
Yeah.
It's-
What is happening in this
Okay, so-
picture? Okay. I think Mark is
so
sitting
the thing is
cross-legged with the
Yep.
tiniest backpack in the world. Like
in the exact
he's got good
center
posture,
of
though,
all
for
of
sitting.
us. Yep. The thing is there are a few other chaperones kind of scattered around here, but he's just in
yeah,
the
but you can barely
center.
tell.
I know, right? They completely blend in with the kids, but he's just front and center.
Yeah.
It's so awesome. But I
Oh,
think
man.
this is maybe second grade here. So here's the three of us. I'm front and center. Check out this outfit, boys. Look at those pants.
That's
Are
are
these,
sick.
are these snow pants?
Are
I
those
have
snow
no idea.
pants?
I don't
Yeah.
know, but they might be.
And you also have a big sweater on, and then like
Yep.
a jacket tied around your waist,
Yep.
which is pretty
I was ready to
hardcore.
roll. Spenny and you are
Meanwhile,
in shirt
We had
sleeves.
Yeah.
t-shirts on.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
saying. It's probably a
But,
no fear T-shirt, by the way.
Oh yeah, totally. But anyway, so here's the three of
That's all
us
I wore.
right next to each other. Couple of other characters in here.
Man, that looks great. I would
Um,
say, Alan, you were always
so
the
cool.
best dressed kid
oh, totally.
in elementary school. You always had collared shirts on. You always looked really nice.
You probably tucked in.
I was always wearing just white t-shirts.
Yep.
And I never wore jeans until like
that's the thing. Yeah, your hatred of jeans and how you had to wear them for a middle school band, and then you just didn't. You just still wore khakis, I think, didn't you? For one of those parades.
Well, yeah, we were. Yeah, in a parade. So like everybody clearly in uniform. Me, not wearing jeans, wearing khaki pants.
So that was another story I wanted to tell as a quick aside. A middle school band, and this is kind of a typical day type thing, but so middle school band, 6th, 7th, 8th grade, right? Had the same director for 2 of the years, 6th and 8th. Mr. Wilds.
Forgot about that. Yeah.
And okay, so I played percussion. Alan played trumpet. Spenny played trumpet for a millisecond, and then he played tuba, right?
I even forgot you played trumpet at all. Just picture you with the tuba.
Yeah, so man. For percussionists, all of the parts would be assigned by the band director, and there'd be a list somewhere saying who played what for what song. Now, I don't know what I did to deserve this, but I didn't get to play jack shit in middle school the entire time I was there. It was like, I got to play triangle. I got to play one crash. I got to play nothing. I got to sit out. But the one thing that was consistent about all of that is that the band director called me Gordon.
He
never once called me Jordan. And so he'd write out on the board in front of everyone, Gordon played with, okay, I should say that there's no Gordon in the class, right? And let alone percussion.
No
he
Gordon
meant
whatsoever.
Me. And in 8th grade,
I was doing it on purpose.
Well, in 8th grade, I said, actually, my name is Jordan, not Gordon. Okay, Gordon, thanks. But the thing was, we had to, you guys remember those little recital things that we had to do for a judge? A judge would come in and you'd prepare a little recital thing as a solo.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my ribbons that I got said motherfucking Gordon on them because the Wilds would fill them out.
Gordon.
So
just trolling you.
Just trolling me.
Hey, that's memories, man. That's memories right there.
Okay. All right. On to the next photo here. 4 of us. Including our friend Hubble, which I've. Right? Yeah,
that's
I think
in
that
Arizona,
was.
Isn't it?
Yep, definitely Arizona. It's our friend Hubble that we've talked about a few times. He always screwed me over, screwed me out of student council and whatnot. So, yep, that was a good one.
That's good. That's me wearing my beret, and I had long hair, so I was always looking good.
Yep.
I don't know about the rest of you, but
here is a picture of us and some other kids outside of, I think this was maybe 1st grade. So obviously the pictures of me, but here are you 2 clowns in the back. Spenny with his blonde hair.
Oh.
Yeah,
and Alan with a t-shirt actually in shorts. Look at that.
Whoa. You wearing Airwalks too?
Actually, this may have been kindergarten because we look so young there.
I'm not gonna lie, I look pretty cool.
You do.
Like, look how cool, man.
Look at the sideburns, man. Bowl cut with just the razor edge on the sides. Dang.
That's hardcore.
But
we all have the stripes though.
Yep, rocking the stripes.
Gotta rock the horizontal stripes. The good colors there.
Sarah saw this and instantly thought, "Well, are they 2 laughing? Are those 2 laughing at you? Because it looks like I'm just this Charlie Brown, just kind of walking away slowly. You 2 clowns are just looking at me directly at me."
Probably are laughing at you.
Yep. And then whoever this kid is just glaring at the camera, right?
That's a little brother somewhere.
Yep. Okay. I'm pretty sure I have more. Oh yeah, a lot more.
The listening audience is really gonna love these pictures because it's just
absolutely
really good to describe.
This is
just
a birthday
a couple
party.
Kindergartners hanging out.
So here
is this Spencer's basement?
No, this is my basement.
Alan's basement. Or Jordan's. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Now I had no idea. I have zero memory.
I thought
of
I was a girl.
Yeah, I know, right? Look at you sitting on Howie's lap with your legs crossed, like.
thought that was a girl.
Your little toes are just
Little
curled.
toes
Yeah.
curled. Spenny is just in his PJs. One of the boys.
So relaxed.
That's awesome.
Very
That's the night
relaxed.
we probably watched Mafia.
Oh, probably, yeah. Drinking some Dr. Peppers, right?
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Okay.
God.
Probably the next morning, right? Okay. So nothing new there.
Man, I'm like straight thugging.
Straight
Look how big that
thug.
shirt
I think
is.
you had your
That's
Florida Gators.
that's prime
sweats on.
baggy.
Oh,
Prime
yeah, that was
baggy,
my
like
Yep.
yeah, that was my super Gators phase. When all I wore was Gator stuff because I was big
Gators.
into the Florida Gators
Gators.
matching stuff. Wow.
Okay, one more from early childhood here. I had sent this in the lounge. 3 of us on the internet doing something. Also at my house, just intently looking at
Right.
something.
we're either editing Miles Davis or playing
that-
Super Huey 3.
Yeah, that definitely. I was wondering if this would have been too early for Miles Davis or not.
That's the
And-
haircuts. That was right around the age because I was 8th,
Yeah.
7th, 8th.
Yep. So
I
maybe
don't
we were hashing out early plans for that masterpiece.
Yeah.
Okay, just a few more here.
Did you want to talk any more about that, or is we just gonna leave
Nope, because that's still going to be
Nope.
the subject of
Okay.
another
it? Okay.
episode
okay.
here.
That's the second time
okay.
we've mentioned it. So
Oh, should I not have said?
no,
No,
that's fine.
talk about that.
You're good.
No.
You're good.
Oh,
You're good.
okay.
Yep. All right. This
Oh,
is
Lord.
8th grade play.
Oh, this
And
is
so
How do you feel about what
Chick.
you're wearing? How do you feel about your costume there, Jordan?
okay, yeah, no. Okay,
How do you?
here's what I'll say.
Is this
It's not
politically
obvious.
correct?
No, but it's not obvious what I'm supposed to be representing here, so we'll just leave it at that. It's so it's so
Hmm.
Okay.
yeah, you guys are all okay. You guys are all
Okay.
cowboys. I'm something else. Infer from that what you will, but I was cast this, okay?
Bring a wig with long hair and
What?
a
I mean, what?
brown
Was some-
vest.
This a middle school play or
This
what
was
was
Yeah,
eighth
it was
grade.
eighth grade.
Yeah. This was Tied to the Tracks, I think it was called, right?
Yep, that's
Oh,
right.
Yeah, we had Pirates of Penzance.
Pence.
And then we did
yeah.
this one.
And then it was no, there was Coconut Capers in there at 7th grade.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So okay.
Yeah, but this one was tied to the tracks. Yep. Because I
will
didn't do
never
the I didn't do
forget-
the other
still,
two.
Yeah, I still cannot forget, Spencer. You and Caleb had this scene. It was just you two on the stage, I think. And
I had
you
a line,
said a line,
and he had a line.
and then Caleb was supposed to have a line. One line that he was supposed to remember. And he was up there like, and then he just said,
I still
well,
I, s-
okay.
I still remember. Yeah, so I remember the line. It was the Night Express is about due. We ought to make a pact. And then nothing came after that, and I said, "Yeah, okay."
So 5 words. Yep, okay.
And I have fake teeth in. You
You
can
have
see in
these
the picture. My mom got me
gigantic
these
fake
fake,
teeth.
jagged fake teeth for adding
did-
to the character.
They weren't called
Did you get
for
to even
at
say
all.
your line, or was your line get changed to? Well, okay.
Well, it was Night Express is about due. We ought to make a pact. And then there was some
But,
other
like-
line. I think
Oh.
there was supposed to be some other line, and then it was just. That was the only
So
line.
you
I had
forgot
in
your
the whole
line,
thing.
or
No,
did Caleb forget his
did.
line?
Caleb forgot his
oh,
line.
okay.
So then we just
So-
stood there, and it was
You was the
Yeah,
only people
okay.
on the stage. Yeah, okay.
I So we have another friend, Cody, who was big into theater, and have you mentioned he's like on Broadway? He's playing Book of Mormon, the lead on Book of Mormon, and I just saw on November he'll hit 10 years
Holy
Wow.
smokes.
playing this one role on Book of Mormon. Yeah, which is crazy.
Well,
That's
But I
Alex,
saw on Twitter the other day that he said he fully had to call out. Oh yeah, that's him, right?
speaking of which, yep, here we go. Cody
Yep.
Yeah.
Strand.
Yeah, okay. So I saw online that he admitted to the fact that he had to say line. Like he just forgot, like he's been doing a thing for 10 years
Well,
and maybe somebody else like screwed up his like lead in or something and it threw him.
yeah
And so he had said line like on Broadway.
line.
line.
But apparently
Line.
Apparently he sent it, and it was actually kind of funny in the way that it
That's
happened.
awesome.
Yeah. I don't know.
So yeah, good.
He
good
seems like
transition
he
there.
seems like the
It
kind of guy
happens.
on Broadway that could kind of handle that and
Yeah.
kind of make some
Yeah.
joke out of it. So that's good.
Um,
Yeah, Cody
yeah,
Strand.
good segue here, Alan, because this is us in Chicago, also
Wow.
for band. Alan and I were very serious here, so was Hubble.
Holy cow! No. Hey, yeah.
Yeah,
Let's
no
look
one
at
told me. No one told me. You three thugs in the middle. I don't know what's going on with you guys.
Ian wore these
What is
yellow glasses on
Those-
that trip.
Were those gamer glasses?
I think
or,
they were pre-gamer glasses. Yeah,
yeah.
but he wore them the whole time.
Wow.
Okay. Also, band. A lot of band pictures here, and I show this in the lounge too. But so I just thought this was so funny, Spencer. Your face here, your long shaggy hair.
God, looks gross.
It's like that
like-
smile. Alan was the only one wearing clothes that actually fit him, or
Fit him
like was
again
for him.
Again.
We're all wearing our dad's
For
clothes
him.
and stuff, right?
Yeah.
And then classic Brian Howie here, just being so ridiculous with this photo. Like,
Just taking a bite out of Matt's
taking
hand.
a
Just
chunk
can't.
out
He
of it.
can't take. Yeah. He was the kid that just you couldn't take serious.
No.
He's always had something always crazy. Wow. That's too. Okay, so we look really cute here.
Look really cute
Well,
here.
This is when we grew up.
Prom.
That's Pram. And then
Is that when your date was making out with somebody else?
I don't remember. Maybe. Was that senior year? That was senior year, yeah, right. So maybe.
Yeah, it's graduation. Yeah, senior year.
And then graduation.
No, we're just wearing graduation gowns for something else.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
So, anyways, trip down
That's cute.
memory lane with all of us.
Complete.
Complete.
nice work. Well,
And if you're just listening to this, I'm sorry for that 10 minutes or whatever that was of nonsense.
yeah, that was long
Um,
and Jad. I
Okay,
don't know.
so
I don't know where you're trying to get with that, but this is an audio
apologies,
podcast too.
apologies all around.
No, that was
okay.
good. That was fun to watch.
Now,
So definitely check out the YouTube Ascension
Yep.
to 10 podcast.
so now there's one more trip down memory lane because there's a lot of history between the three of us, right?
That's
And
right.
one of those, Alan, do you remember when the summer after our first year in college? So this would have been 2007. That summer, every week we'd rent a movie and stuff, and we'd do some grilling, and then we'd rent a movie and watch it. And I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure that is when you introduced me to Death Race 2000. It was around that time, around that 2007
Yeah.
time. I think it was that summer.
Yep.
And
Yep.
That sounds
there was
right.
there was no explanation, and I don't know. I don't remember the story if you had seen the movie beforehand or heard of it, or
Mm-mm.
if we watched it together
Yeah,
for
in
the first
college.
time.
In college, I started going to this group that was called Trash Film Debauchery,
Okay,
and so they would just basically it was all this like trash 70s, 80s films. So that's how I was introduced to this one. And
Did
that
you-
was like
okay.
Barbarella. That's where we saw
Okay.
Barbarella.
Oh, nice.
yep. And I
Death
remember
Race
we
Did you
watched
watch
that together.
Did you
as
watch
well.
Maximum Overdrive? Have you seen Maximum Overdrive?
Haven't no.
Oh, that's a good one too.
That should probably
Should
be
check
on
that
that.
one out.
Yeah.
We just reviewed.
But
that one
anyways, so we
a couple
watched
weeks
this
ago.
movie, Death Race 2000. I was blown away because it is unlike anything I had seen at the time. And at the time, I remember thinking that this is the worst thing I'd ever seen, right? And
Well,
I was thinking that it
probably
was
not wrong.
yeah. And I was coming at from the just kind of assumption that this was it was made in a serious manner, like they actually tried to make this like they weren't kidding themselves.
They're
if
trying
that
to-
makes sense when they were making it.
They were trying.
now
Like, was
they
it
were,
satire?
Yeah,
I don't
They were
think
trying to do They were trying to make Battlefield Earth. Is that what you're trying to imply?
Yeah, right.
they just like make some really superficial observations about like a
Oh, yeah.
dystopian
Yeah.
future.
Yeah.
like really surface level.
And now I'm starting to wonder if it is satire. I don't know, because how can you make this and be serious about it? But I don't know. I think we should.
There's a bunch of movies like that were.
Well, that's a good point.
Well, I was gonna say I will tell you that it was initially supposed to be a serious film,
Okay.
but they realized how ridiculous it was, and they decided to add the satire. So
okay. Well, Spenny, you want to give us some rundowns and stuff and some infos?
Sure, I can do that for you. Roger Corman was the person who originally did the screenplay for the film. And like I said, he mentioned that he was hoping that it would be like a super serious film. But after he saw how dark like the material was, he's like, yeah, there's no way we're going to make this into a serious film. So we're just going to make it a black comedy, as he said. So, also, Frankenstein, David Carradine. He was
David Carradine.
Carradine. He's the main character in this. Plays Frankenstein. Did I just say it wrong again?
You said it wrong.
I always thought it was David
Directly
Carradine.
After
Carradine.
You doubled down.
You have it right, Alan.
Yeah.
But he said, so right before this, he was in a series called Kung Fu. He did 63 episodes of it. So people kept telling him that you have to go into film right after you've made it big with like a series. So 2 weeks after Kung Fu was over, he was on the set for this to launch his film career. So that was kind of just an interesting tidbit.
And then he became Bill from Kill Bill.
Yes. Yeah.
I was going to say, is that why I didn't know he was in that Kung Fu stuff? I guess is that maybe why it was somewhat more impactful, that why he was Bill or something, because he had that Kung Fu history?
Maybe.
Yeah, he must have.
Yeah. I mean, there's a long gap between those, but yes.
Yeah.
Let's see here. What other else stuff can I give you? So 38 cast, 48 crew, which I was really blown away by.
Whoa.
In fact, there's only 48 filmmakers in this whole film.
Wow.
Usually when we review these, there's like 100, 1,000, 12,000, 1,200.
Yeah, but when you watch it, I feel like that tracks.
Well, yeah. So there are a few scenes where it feels like they're just using one camera, and then the camera fogged up, and they just kept using it because there's some blurry points. But...
Yeah, I noticed some like real, maybe watching things on like modern screens with like higher resolution.
Yeah,
and you see some of the special effects. There's like some hardcore cardboard that they like drive through. That's like meant to be like a wall or something.
Well, I mean, at one point they literally use cardboard to make a fake tunnel. So
that's what I was talking about. Yeah, where they go through the tunnel
with the black drape. That's awesome.
It was literally like a Roadrunner or Wile E. Coyote type gag thing, and then
classic bit.
But the budget on this was $300,000 back in 1975.
Wow.
Today's numbers, that's 1.65 million. Still a very small budget by today's standards. And then the box office discrepancy is like it's between 5 and 8 million. So I went with 6.5, and that's about 35.8 million in today's numbers.
So it did okay then. Got
pretty good return. I mean, nice. Yeah, for what you got. But let's do a quick synopsis, and then we can talk about the movie some more. I don't know if this one's good or not. It's the year 2000. For 21 years, the world has been sent into the future of social turmoil, political unrest with a totalitarian regime that enforces an annual event to entertain the masses, the infamous transcontinental road race. The race has become famous for the cast of characters that race every year. Mr. Frankenstein, Machine Gun Joe Viterbo, Calamity Jane, Nero the Hero, and a Nazi chick. The race is done by earning points, killing people, and the most points or kills wins. Old people are the highest. The team battles while one by one the drivers are eliminated. Frankenstein and his navigator, Annie Smith, devise a plan to destroy the totalitarian president and bring peace to the U.S.
Totalitarian.
I can't say it. I can't say it.
Totalitarian.
I can't say it right. I can't say it.
Nice one, man. That was epic.
Brother. Oh, brother.
Nicely done.
Yeah.
So
three of the Sylvester Stallone is in this as Machine Gun Joe Viterbo, and Martin Cove. Is Covey? Cove? I don't know. He plays Kreese from Karate Kid, so he's in that as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So they had
very cool.
Pretty good cast.
Well, this thing just gets to a blazing fast start because it's one of these stories where you learn more about what's happening after about 10 minutes or so in terms of what the race is, how many points, or what the points even are, why it's called Death Race. And one of the first... Oh, what's up?
Look, I just have a logistics question. Like, you get points, right, from hitting people?
Yeah.
But they're just in the middle of the nowhere, just running people over, right? Like, there's no...
No one keeping track.
There's no...
But they have
well, the announcer guy is, all right, they got another one.
Yeah, he's a hoot.
Yeah, there's this real-time feed, right, of all of the people that are killed and where exactly they are. But when Frankenstein takes his mask off and everything, he's just chilling for, all this time, and he's saying, no one's seen my face in a millennia or whatever. And he's just chilling out there with his face wide open, but they know exactly where they are.
His mask is almost always off. Like
it's off more than it's on, right?
So I kind of forget, what's Frankenstein's deal? Like, do they like put him in cryo sleep or something, and he just comes out for races every once in a while?
They said the greatest racer of all time. And he comes out on a gurney in suspended animation. He's been
suspended animation, yeah. So the announcer that Spenny was talking about, his name is Junior Bruce, and the first line he says is, "This is Junior Bruce, your buddy and mine." And what does that mean, right? Is he talking about himself to himself? Your buddy and mine. That's one of the first lines of this.
Is this the guy that says like, well, all right, or...
Yep, exactly.
That's that guy. Okay.
Yeah. So Junior Bruce introduces the 5 racers. There's Spenny gave him a rundown. There's a Nazi chick, there's Calamity Jane, there's Machine Gun Joe Viterbo, and Frankenstein. Frankincense. And they one by one they get on this oval track, right? This racetrack, and line up at the start line. But then Frankenstein, he's lagging back behind because he's been in the suspended animation. And this news broadcast talks about how he's had every limb transplanted. He's had his lungs transplanted, his jaw transplanted, his eyeballs transplanted, his hand, and that he's this best friends with the president of the United States, and that he's the most decorated racer, even though they then go on and say he's only won twice, and Machine Gun Joe has won once. And so what I found one of the most funny parts is Machine Gun Joe, which is Sylvester Stallone, he's constantly complaining about how he's not more famous and about how everyone likes Frankenstein, when he has almost as good a record as Frankenstein. And when he drives up to the start line, there's these crowds of fans in different sections, and he lines up next to the Frankenstein fans. He lines up next to the Frankenstein fans, and they're all like, Frankenstein. And he just like gets pissed off immediately and he brings out this Tommy gun and just starts shooting the crowd. Right?
Yeah.
Well, and one of the things that doesn't make sense is, so in this film, like everyone dies except one. That's part of it, right? But now they're saying like multiple people have been in this race multiple times, but everyone dies in this except one because they kill each
I don't
other
think
off.
that. I don't think they have to die. It's not like you have to die, right?
It seems like the navigators
maybe-
mostly died.
This was a
because-
particularly
Yeah.
deathful race for all the. All
Well,
of
I
those
think
involved.
this race was the only one that had the rebels attack, right? And so
true.
all the other races were just if they died, it's because they crashed and burned or something. But one of the other funny things about Machine Gun Joe is he pulls up. The Frankenstein fans are going nuts, right, and are booing him and stuff. And Junior Bruce says, "Machine Gun Joe Viterbo, loved by thousands, hated by millions." Just
Brutal.
trolled the whole time. Okay, so then the other funny thing about Joe is that Frankenstein eventually pulls up to the start line, right? And Joe's still pissed. And so the first thing he does is he hawks a loogie on Frankenstein's car. And he's like, take that or whatever. And then you see him do this thing where he looks to someone off camera and he gives this little finger wave kind of thing. Like, yeah, you can go. And it's like a pit crew guy to wipe the loogie off of Frankenstein's car.
Yeah.
And it's just a weird thing. Like, why have that in there? Because you're going to hawk a loogie onto your nemesis's car and then instantaneously say, oh, yeah, you can wipe that off. Yeah, you better wipe that off real quick. And I don't know. Okay. So Spenny called it in the intro. It is this transcontinental race. And so have you guys heard of the Cannonball Run?
Oh, yeah. Of course.
So that's kind of what it made me think of, right? So it's not really a race, but it's how quickly you can get from New York to Los Angeles. And
That's
people will make these sedans or whatever kind of car, usually with a lot of police scanning equipment to know where the, like fuzzbusters,
That's new
and,
age.
that kind of stuff, and different fuel things. And so the whole point is to get from New York to LA in as quick as time as possible. And I can't remember what the record is currently.
Well,
oh yeah,
and during COVID, it got broken twice because nobody was on the road, so people took chances at the Cannonball Run. I can't remember. I'll look it up. But twice it was broken from the record. I think it was 2015 was the previous record, and then it got broken twice. I think in 2021.
Okay.
So,
do you know like how long? Like, I'm sure it's just absurd how fast they can. Actually...
25 hours, 39 minutes, an average of 110 miles an hour.
Zoinks.
It's fast.
So that's basically the gist.
October 2021.
Yeah, that's basically the gist for this movie: is get to LA as quick as possible and kill as many people.
But also,
as
you
possible.
get points for you just get arbitrary points for killing people, I guess.
For killing people,
and running them over.
And so,
but
it doesn't matter.
They
who
also
it
have
is, right?
They also have checkpoints. So like they stop in St. Louis.
Yeah.
And then they stop in Albuquerque, which Albuquerque is so close to LA compared to St. Louis. Like, I don't. Anyways.
So really, it doesn't matter how fast you get there. Really, it just matters how many people you kill. Which is kind of the thing. So their strategy.
They play pretty fast and loose with the rules on this race for sure.
Right. Yeah.
They change while you're racing too. I mean, you saw that. The priest. There's a priest that is like we're like giving praise to all the drivers before they take off, and then Frankenstein leaves his glove out, and the priest comes out to like grab the glove, and then he just runs him over, and all of a sudden race control's like, nope, that checks out. You can get him. He gets 50 points.
That's fine.
But yeah.
So I mean, what can we say about the plot? It's just like they race, right? And
it's over the top the whole time. There's like this resistance that's like trying to
that's
try
kind
to
of the
influence the race. Yeah, they're trying to
undercurrent
impact it.
But like, what's the deal? So I have to admit, I didn't have much time to rewatch this movie, so I kind of, I sped through it a little bit. The president at the time is he's a totalitarian. totalitarian government. And he's like, doesn't even live in the country at times. And then do they like allude to the fact that he's in Moscow or something? And
Yeah.
so this resistance is basically trying to subvert the government and somehow using death race as a vehicle to do that.
Because death race is a national pastime, right? For a 20-year pastime. And the only thing holding the country together, apparently, that and the president, or the death race and the president are the only two things keeping this country from complete collapse. If they can get rid of death race, then I think they assume the dominoes are going to fall, right?
Yeah.
Oh no, actually, I just remembered. Okay, so part of the plan was to kidnap Frankenstein, and they were going to replace Frankenstein in the monster, the car he drives, with a body double. But not to assassinate the president, but to hold Frankenstein as hostage to end the death race. So
convoluted.
And meanwhile,
Frankenstein's navigator. So each driver has a navigator.
Yeah,
she's like a double agent for the resistance, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So she was trying to do this plot where they would swap out Frankenstein.
Her great grandmother is the coordinator for the resistance, and they're plotting from what looks like a water treatment plant, trying to send out radio waves. Which, by the way, they take over the airwaves of TV in this place. And all it is a bunch of guys spinning wheels and like opening valves, and then all
classic
of a sudden,
electronics.
And then
there's
all
plumbing
of a sudden,
there's a Tesla coil that goes up, and they're
one
ready
Tesla
to go.
coil. One Tesla coil takes over the entire race.
So part of the resistance is this one guy.
That's a $300,000 budget right there.
Yeah, that's a good point.
This one guy, Lieutenant something. He leads all of these missions to get Frankenstein and to kill all these other drivers, right? And so his first mission is you see him storming out of this treatment plant, and the grandmother, like the leader of the whole thing, she says, "Do not leave, do not do this. I don't support this in any way. Stop this barbaric plan," or whatever. And so he leaves, and then the next scene is one of these drivers, and there's from the driver's perspective, from the car, they see this family out in the middle of nowhere, right? Everybody in the country knows that death race is happening, and they probably know where the drivers are going to be or what route they're taking. And so this one family just decides to take a picnic in a field, and the driver hones in on them. And so it's actually a decoy. And because babies are worth so many points, the driver is trying to run over the baby, but it ends up being dynamite. But the leader of this away mission is this Lieutenant Steve or something, and he's just dressed up as this woman with this
as the
mom with this straw hat and this like silk lace bonnet thing. And you see him peering behind a tree in like this terrible disguise. And it's like, yeah, come on, get the baby. And then he makes appearances too. I don't think he was in the Frankenstein plot to get the body double in there, but then he wants to end it, and so he gets in this plane and he's trying to bomb
the plane
Frankenstein as he's driving. And you see this narrow little shot where you just see his eyes, right? And he's got these flight goggles on, and he's barely looking over the window of this plane, and he's just saying the weirdest lines, like, Annie, come in. Waits a millisecond. "I'm sorry, Mrs. Stevens. Annie's dead. He must have killed her." And then he freaks out, drops 1 billion bombs around Frankenstein, and then just flies into a cliff and dies. And
it was so awesome.
There's some other really weird hijinks with those resistance, right? Isn't there another guy that like tries to jump down a manhole, but then the other guys are like blocking the manhole cover?
Yes, that was...
So he like jumps and lands on a manhole cover that like just doesn't like go down and then gets plowed over.
Yeah, there's three guys. They open up a manhole and there's three guys. And like one by one, each of them jumps into the manhole. But on the second one, after the second guy jumps in, he just pulls it over and the third guy jumps onto the manhole like he's going to go in and is like, oh, what happened? And then just gets mowed over.
And then there's
Well,
one where the resistance, they're trying to set up this roadblock, and it's just a pile of junk, right? It's a couple beams and some junk that they put in the road. And they're trying to finish. They hear this car engine from around the corner, and so they said, "Oh, we gotta. It's good enough." And so they get behind it, just a couple pieces of wood, right? And they're all complain. One guy complains, and he says, "Look at it. It's wide open in the middle. This is ridiculous." And then the car just comes behind him and runs him over. So, and then, then they try to do this switcheroo. What am I trying to say? Switcheroo. With Frankenstein that just completely fails. Like it's such a terrible plan. It fails immediately. And Frankenstein's like, "Oh, what was that?" And then they just drives away.
The other guy just kind of waves at him like, hi.
Sort of just like standing around in the middle of all the cars, like the car just flying around.
And like the Frankenstein guy actually looks kind of intimidating, but the other guy just looks like he's literally just dressed in leathers from a sex shop. Like he's
it's more bondage.
Just bondage.
Speaking of that costume, okay, so there's, I think one of my favorite lines for sure in the movie is Frankenstein gets confronted by this this young woman who's devoted.
It's like a groupie, right?
Yeah, devoted to Frankenstein and what he stands for, and is a member of the local chapter of the fan club or whatever. And she comes out and confronts him and is all like, "Well, I just wanted to meet you so that, you know, what I do has meaning." And he's like, "What are you going to do?" And she just leaves. But at the beginning of that interaction, he says, "What do you want to do? Make love to me?" And she says, "No, I don't know." And then he says, "Why do you want to make love to me? Is it because I drive the monster and wear this outfit or wear this costume?" And it's just such an epic line. It's because I drive the monster and wear this costume. So
yeah, I love that one.
This happens.
There's also one.
Oh, yeah.
Similar to that, Sylvester Stallone tells somebody, "Some people think you're cute, but I just think you're a great big potato."
Is that to his navigator?
Burn, but
yeah,
I can't remember. It was like, some people think
he's constantly complaining about how he's not famous. He's constantly complaining
really
about his navigator, and he whines the whole time.
You know, one of the things I was curious about. So you're right after that scene that you're talking about the girl. She also mentions that their club has an astrology subscription to the fan club. Like it's part of the subscription to be supporting Frankenstein, is they have astrology subscription.
Okay.
But then that next scene is his navigator is just got out of the shower, and they go to the bedroom, and it's like a gym.
It's like it's a conference room on the type thing.
Yeah, really big,
it's enormous,
really big room.
It is huge.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so he's getting undressed. So she's in a towel, right? And she's just laying on the bed. And he starts getting undressed. He has full leathers on, like Alan and Spencer have said, right? So he's taking off these knee-high boots, his mask, his helmet, his glove.
To cover all the limbs and stuff that he's lost, right?
His limb transplants, right? And
right.
So he undresses to the point of these leather underwear, right? And they're kind of getting to know each other. They're talking softly. They're, you know, it's somewhat, it's not really intimate, but it's intimate in the sense that they're, you know, not racing and they have time to actually, you know, chill out. So he's completely undressed. And then he turns around and has the mask back on. So we haven't described this mask. It's this leather mask where it's kind of like a ski mask where the two eyes have
It's just
holes,
two
and then it's
big
a mouth.
eyeballs. Yeah.
But he has this prosthetic type thing that makes it appear that his right eye is like burnt flesh or something, right?
Yeah.
But that's just part of the mask. It's part of the appearance of him having been in epic death race crashes. And so he undresses completely. And then all of a sudden he turns around and he has this mask back on. And he says, "Do you want to dance?" And then they start dancing. He has the mask on. And then that scene just ends. And it's she knows what he looks like, right? That was part of the reveal when they first started, because she was a new navigator and she was, saying, does it hurt or whatever? And then he pulls the mask off and it's, I have a normal face, by the way.
Yeah.
And so they spend
I
the
bet
whole
they just
day.
Randomly filmed scenes and they're like, well, we can't reshoot this. We already blew through our budget. So we're just going to have to take that. Set this
oh man.
continuity
Okay.
here.
A couple other things I found funny. So during the race, at certain points, the cars are kind of together, like they're actually racing, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes they try and bump each other, right? It doesn't seem obvious that they're trying to kill each other, which is kind of weird in a death race, right? But they go to extents to try and throw the other person off or delay the other person or another driver. But they do so. They're going around mountain curves at Mach 7 or whatever, and they're going all this at crazy speeds, and it's the best drivers on the planet. And all of the scenes where they're actually bumping into each other, just on flat road, flat ditches, flat fields that they run into, and they just like touch a millimeter of grass and spin out, right?
Yeah.
And so at one point, the German driver runs over Calamity Jane's mechanic or navigator because he's just doing some maintenance, right? And he's under the car in the road.
The car's seems like the car's broken, so the guy is under the car fixing it. And then he gets run over by that.
The German driver just runs him over, right? And Calamity Jane gets all pissed, right? And so she's, pedaling the metal. You're not going to kill my navigator and not hear about it, right? So she gains on the German instantaneously, right? German's going 200 miles an hour. Calamity Jane catches up to her instantaneously. So to get rid of her, right? To lose her trail, the German driver drives through some mud. She takes a detour, goes in some mud, and then comes out. Calamity Jane follows her. Just loses control, right?
Yep.
But then regains control, and then incoming the Resistance with their cardboard Wile E. Coyote tunnel.
A detour.
A detour.
Tunnel.
The German drives through this. Oh, yeah, I've been waiting for a detour. Takes this right-hand turn, goes through a blind tunnel, and then just drives over a cliff, right? And then just that's it. That's the...
Yeah.
It just...
That's it.
And that whole scene is like, they do that filming trick where they probably are driving slow, but they like play it really fast. So it's kind of got like that Benny Hill yakety sax where the cars are like... really like jerky, but I'm sure in real life they were like going 30 miles an hour or something.
Well, that is a funny thing, because one of the notes that they mention in some of the research I did is like basically none of the cars worked, so the only way they could film them is if they were going downhill. So they would slow the film down, or they would try to make it longer, so then they could speed it up in post-production to make it look like the cars were going fast. So sometimes they were just happening to be going fast, so then it would just be like...
Can't believe those weren't real cars.
They were real cars, but they just didn't work. They just said because underneath all of them, the majority of them were VW bugs, and they just put like a kit on them. So
size sounds
nice.
Right. Yeah. One of the other things that I thought was funny is, so there's a part where like they have the old people in from the hospital, and they just wheel them out into the road. And so looks like Frankenstein's just gonna rack up a bunch of points by killing all these old people. but then he just cuts off, and then he goes and just kills all the doctors and goes back. But the scene, the junior, what's his name?
Junior Bruce.
Bob. Junior Bruce. And he goes, which goes to show you Frankenstein is 100% American sense of humor. Ha 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 ha.
There was a line though before that. So as they're driving up to this hospital, his navigator says, "What's that?" And Frankenstein says, "Euthanasia day at the geriatrics hospital."
Right.
Because they just
so nurses, like death race is just meant to
because the nurses and doctors were just going to just let them die. But they were all dressed up and stuff. The men were wearing suits, the women were wearing dresses, and they were just out there chilling, like ready to die and stuff.
Yeah.
Brutal.
Just, I think that's probably all the stuff that's funny. One of the things we haven't talked about.
Are we not gonna?
No. So little did the Resistance know that Frankenstein was an inside man the whole time. He was playing his own game.
Yeah.
Now this is where where it somewhat breaks down, because Frankenstein has won 2 previous races, right? The only person to do so, on track to three-peat the thing, and is made out to be the best friend of the President of the United States.
That's right.
He knows exactly where he is at all times. Frankenstein knows where the president is and where he summers and where he's, vacationing is. And so you get the sense then throughout the race that Frankenstein might be playing a different game. He decides to kill nurses and doctors and not the old people. He doesn't run over babies.
Right.
He only runs over people that are part of the system, right? And then that virgin girl that actually, loves him and stuff. He runs her over, no problem. But
yeah,
the navigator comes to find out that while Frankenstein has been wearing a glove on his right hand the whole time, and part of his prosthetic limb transplant. And so he takes the glove off at one point when the navigator says, what's up?
Oh,
why are you trying to win this so bad? He takes off the glove, and it's this fucking wood hand, right, with this spray painted bulge in the middle, just a silver bulge. And she says, "What's that?" And he says, "It's a hand grenade." It's just a hand that's also a grenade.
It's a grenade. Hand grenade.
It's a hand grenade.
Because the grenade is just embedded in his hand.
And so then he reveals then that if he wins this race, he gets to meet the president and shake the president's hand and kill the president, because his entire life has been leading up to this moment.
That's right.
So what's all this about having won the damn thing 2 times and being the president's best friend?
Why could you kill him
Did that
before?
not happen?
It
Why
just
couldn't you do that the
just
first time?
Alive.
Right?
Practically using this hand grenade, because later on they're like jostling with Frankie Joe Viterbo, and the navigator chucks the hand into their car. But like, to activate the grenade, still had to take off the glove, detach the hand, pull the pin, and then like throw the glove over there. So even if he was going to kill the president that way, he would have to like take his glove off, pull the pin, and then shake his hand.
Yeah.
Or
well, how long would he have to shake that hand? Because he threw it over, and it took like 15 seconds before the grenade finally blew up.
just the pulling the pin, and
there was a
So,
great line though, after his hand blew up, because he's like, now my only concern is how am I going to shake the president's hand?
It's like,
I think they came up with a hand grenade bit, and they were so invested in being able to say that he had a hand grenade that they just threw caution to the wind and doubled down.
Oh man, yeah.
Oof. Yeah.
That prop was so funny, because it looked like just a dollar store mannequin hand, right? And then they just put a bunch of tape or something, and then
yeah, it's like it was just like a Pinewood Derby car where you kind of cut out the spot where you're going to put in the weight, so then half of it is sticking out, so half a grenade is sticking out of the hand.
Yep.
But then he like puts his glove back on, and he's back to like grabbing.
Then he's
steering wheel, it's no big deal.
Yeah. Okay, so then now the navigator and Frankenstein, they're on the same side. They want death race to end. They want the president to die. And so they come up with this genius scheme. They're the only driver left, right? So they're going to get to LA. They're going to pull up. There's going to be this whole parade and fanfare, and the Grand Marshal's going to be there or whatever, and the president's on this stage welcoming, celebrating Frankenstein for his third victory. And so you see the car pull up. Frankenstein gets out, walks up the stage, full leathers. He has a cape too. We forgot to mention the cape that he flourishes around sometimes. And so he's walking up the stage.
That's right.
Now, Mrs. Potts or whatever, who the granddaddy of the resistance, the grandma of the resistance, she pulls out this little Derringer pistol that's like the size of a fingernail, right? And because she thinks her granddaughter's dead. And
she's like 100 yards away, by the way.
It's like
Just
so far away,
no-scopes it.
tiny little BB gun, handgun thing. And I think she intends to kill the president, but she snipes Frankenstein by mistake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the scene like really makes it look like she just got a total headshot. Like it looks like
right. She just
blasts
domes Frankenstein.
Frankenstein. Yeah. Really looked like that. Like I think it like the head just like
Yeah. And from a mile
so
away,
weird.
right? And she's aiming like she has it down here, like by her chest, right? And she's just kind of like no scope, domes him. And the president's like, "What? Who did that? Who did that?" And the old lady
Get that
says,
old woman.
"I did it. It was me. I'm, whoever." And then a couple guards just kind of casually come up and, take her by the arm or something. And then all of a sudden, chaos, right? There's chaos up on the stage.
Yes.
Here comes Frankenstein fucking naked in the car, right?
He was just sitting in the passenger seat and just crawls up to the driver's
Fully
side.
disrobed.
Right? He's fucking naked because this whole scheme. What was Annie going to do up there? Like, what's the plan here? They didn't know that the grandma was going to shoot Frankenstein.
It's a great point. What was the plan? What was the plan?
So I don't know, but he had to improvise, I guess. Or the whole plan was then this. He fucking just gets up and then hot rods it to the stage, right? And bulldozes that stage where the president is. The whole stage collapses.
He goes at it like full tilt, but then just like collapses straight down on top of the car.
Next scene,
and then the president's just like
next scene, the president's just laying draped across the Frankenstein's car, no stage whatsoever, no debris. He's just on the car, dead. And then it transitions to like, wedding bells. Annie and Frankenstein.
Everybody's pretty jazzed that like he killed the president for some reason.
Yeah.
Like
they're like super stoked. Gosh, now
like,
you have me
legit.
You have me thinking about like did Annie know that the grandma was gonna shoot Frankenstein? So she's
I don't think you should try to make sense of this. It's just they
okay. Is it gonna
so just like film this whole movie like we gotta send this thing home. We gotta end it. And this is what we have. We want to drive a car through a stage.
Yep. And so next
and Annie's fine though.
Wedding bells.
She apparently got shot in the head, but no apparent damage.
Maybe it's because she was wearing the
super
helmet, the crash helmet, right?
Right.
In any case,
they're super leather.
Frankenstein and Annie are married, and also the president and presidentess or whatever, or secretary or something. So he just became the president, the very thing that he was trying to topple. And the two things that his agenda, now America's going to be better because of these two things. Well, three things actually. First and foremost, president's going to now be in America. No more, showboating around the world. That was priority number one. Getting the president back on American soil.
Free and fair elections.
I forgot about that. No more death race, right? Because that was the very epitome of American whatever. And then this third thing that they mentioned in the beginning of the movie, completely out of nowhere. Never talk about it again, and then bring up again at the end of the movie this idea that now we've painted this picture as this dystopian future, right?
Right.
and the president, and there's you can be a Nazi. It doesn't matter. You can be fans of Nazis. It does not matter. The president is a totalitarian. He's out, across the globe.
Totalitarian.
But the one thing holding the world together, apart from death race, is minority privilege. And Frankenstein killing the president immediately will abolish minority privilege.
Minority privilege? What does that mean?
That is going to get America back on track, is to get those darn minorities with less
Everything's
privilege.
painted as like a slam dunk policy win. Like, president's coming back. Free and fair elections. I'm going to end minority privilege.
And the whole...
I had to rewind it to make sure, like... Excuse me?
Their vision of dystopia is minorities having privilege. That was the whole cause of the destruction of America.
1975? Yeah, okay. I think this movie came out in 1975.
Yeah. But it's just like
That's
so jarring.
Said, out of nowhere in the beginning, and then it's almost like in the beginning you like, what, did I hear that right? What? And then they never mention it, and then minority privilege is over.
And they don't even really cover like why he becomes the president, right? He just like ices the president, and then next scene, getting married to Annie. Yeah, he's the president.
It's that classic, you kill, you take ownership. So he killed him, one death race, so he just got double points.
And then in the credits, there's like this dubbed voice that's talking about how like I can't even do it justice, but it's talking about like
it was
like prehistoric era or something that all the humans
I forgot about that.
Killed each other, and then that like caused their brains to get bigger because they killed each other, and so then they were smarter. And I don't know.
It was like, one of the lines
adds no value.
Yeah, one of the lines was like 2000 BC. Yes, murder was invented before man could think.
They're trying to draw this line between like we couldn't think, but we killed each other, but then our brains got bigger. So then we became the thinking animal. Yeah. And we invented killing.
Yeah, we forgot to mention that there's two other like news reporters in this whole thing. And one is like being the Howard Cosell of the whole thing, and then there's this other lady who is like just best friends with everybody that she interviews. So she's like, oh, I'm so happy, this is one of my very good friends
of mine,
Mr. and Mrs. President. So this whole time there's just this over the top reporting. One other thing before we finish this up, but so Calamity Jane is by herself. Her navigator got run over by the Nazi lady. There's the scene where she's being chased by motorcycles. She just lets them jump in her car. And then on the other side, there is a guy with a single chain. It's just the kind of chain you would lock a bike with. It's single. It's not like it has anything on it to hurt you. And they just kind of tink the car, and then they drive off, and he crashes and dies. And then there's just this landmine sitting there. And she misses it, but then to turn around, she does a 7-point turn, and on the last turn, she just lands on the landmine and blows up. It's like the most anticlimactic thing ever.
It was such a long runtime, part of the runtime too, of her backing up and stuff and doing all these.
No, I know.
And with the guy, one of the guys on the motorcycle with the chain. Right. So one guy is in her car, right, and is choking her out, right, and bashing her head, and she just kind of does this shove, and he falls out and dies, right? The motorcycle guy, he just drives himself over this little hump,
just a little hump,
and
blows up,
jumps off the bike, and the bike explodes when it like crashes a foot off the ground. And then awesome. The landmine thing. Man,
that was just ridiculous. This is a funny movie. This is a funny film.
Yeah, it's really really funny,
over the top entertaining. So it's like it doesn't take itself seriously, and that's the point of it. So
they tried to kind of reboot this movie, right? Like there was a death race. I don't think I saw it.
This
Yeah,
was
the new
Jason
one that came
Statham,
they
out,
right?
made it full. Yeah, they made it full on action, and actually, a lot of the producers, or a couple of the producers from this film, were actually like one of the key people in it. But they made it into, I think it was 5 movies.
No
They made-
way, really?
What?
Yeah, so they made. I'll double check it here while we're
Whoa.
looking at it. But I'm pretty sure that they made Death Race
Almost
into, like,
certainly none of
a
them
full
were checked.
franchise. But
It's not the Fast and Furious franchise.
No. They made 4. They made Death Race in
Wow.
2008, so that was the original with Jason Statham. Death Race 2 in 2010, Death Race 3 Inferno, and then Death Race 4 Beyond Anarchy in 2018.
Those were almost certainly like direct to.
Yeah. They just went
Well,
to
it's
a,
just like
movie
it's. I mean,
a
it's just like
DVD
Tremors.
bin in Walmart.
Yeah,
kind of
it's
thing.
Yeah.
it's the Tremors of Death Race. It's like we've got this golden carrot here. Let's see how many we can just kind of keep churning out of here.
Or they just they bought the rights for crazy cheap and just
I guess.
got to spend it.
Yeah.
All right, boys. This is the Ascension to 10 podcast. We rate movies on an 11-point scale, Ascension to 10. I'm going to kick us off here and give a score.
Oh yeah, we forgot
This-
to let Alan know that he had to give us a score.
Oh yeah, Alan.
Okay.
If you could kindly give us a
You have to
score
give it
here
a
in a
score.
second.
Prepared. Okay.
I am going to rate this. Now, I've been giving out a lot of Ascensions recently.
Yeah, you have.
So is Spenny. We've actually matched on quite a few Ascensions recently.
Shoot.
The most recent one being Maximum Overdrive, because that was almost beyond Ascension. I'm going to rate this because it's so nostalgic. For especially with our good friend Alan here, I'm going to give this a 2.2 out of 10 out of 11.
Wait.
So, who wants to jump?
Wait. So
next?
what's good?
10.
10?
10's good.
And you gave it. You gave it a
Ascension's
what?
the worst thing you've ever
2.2.
seen. 2.2.
So that seems pretty bad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
but
you
high praise.
He gave.
you just talked all this like
he
nostalgia.
gave.
but
What'd you give Prey?
Okay.
So to give you context, so what was Prey? That was the highest one. you
yeah,
rated.
something you really liked.
Prey 8.5.
I
Oh,
gave.
okay.
I gave Alien 9.5. That's the highest I've rated.
Which I gave 6.9.
Yeah, which apparently you thought Prey was better than Alien, which is interesting.
Yeah, I stand by that.
Well,
Okay.
I'll go. So I actually think this movie is pretty fun, and I kind of enjoyed it. And it's short, which is also nice.
Yeah.
I think I gave Mars Attacks a 4.4, so I'll give this 4.2.
You gave Mars Attacks 4.6, so you want to adjust your
Okay.
score here? 4.2?
No, 4.2.
All right, Alan, you're going
Now
on
the
the ledger
pressure's
here.
on you, Alan. What do you?
I have to
think?
go.
Make sure you give it decimal.
I mean, in the context of just like a trash movie. So like I can't tell if I'm rating against other trash movies, which I think I will. It's a good trash movie. I think
Okay.
it's like silly to try to rank this against legitimate movies.
That's
not
fair.
what. I'm just gonna give it it's like a good middle of the road B trash movie. So 5.
That's
Wow.
good.
5
Take
on
that.
the nose.
We're not
All
too
right.
far off.
All right.
Yeah,
Very good.
5.
So
I'll go from
what
there.
Other,
That's
what other
my
5s have we had? I gave 5.8 to Bright, and it's kind of the only 5s in my wheelhouse
I gave-
here. You gave 5.8 to
Mine,
Bright.
Fifth Element.
Fifth
I gave it
Element.
Was
5.9.
Bright the Bright the Will
5.9.
Smith like Netflix
Mhm.
Yeah.
movie?
Have you seen it?
I never watched that one. No.
It's not bad. Honestly.
Oh yeah, you gave Fifth Element a 5.9.
They're not making a new one after
after the
yeah.
slap.
they will not make a second Bright after what happened at the Academy Awards.
There's like I think Apple is like sitting on a Will Smith Oscar contender movie. They just don't know what
Whoa.
to do.
Whoa.
Oh, they are.
They have like a Will Smith movie that's supposedly like really good, and they just because he punched somebody,
Slapped a dude.
slapped
Wow.
somebody,
Yeah, I slapped
they're
somebody.
like, well,
Can't do that.
We're in a bit of a pickle.
You're not supposed to hit people.
Bit of a pickle.
That's what I teach my kids. A bit of a
They
pickle.
could edit him out like that. What was the thing about the mustache that cost $13 million or something to edit out Superman's mustache?
Oh,
Um,
yeah, Henry Clavo. Henry.
yeah,
Clavo.
yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah.
Cavill?
He was
Something
like
he
doing
was-
Mission Impossible, but then also Superman.
He had to do reshoots or
Seriously?
something, and yeah.
Oh.
So okay, yeah, they shot one of the
Did they
whatever
have to do
Justice
that
League
with-
things.
They had to do reshots with it was Justice League, wasn't it? Because that was the Zack Snyder one.
Yeah.
That they had to go
Yeah.
back and reshoot.
So they,
And I think there's
he
some
had
pretty
to
obvious shots
come
where you
back
can
and-
tell like there's a CGI like
yeah, it's just
section.
terrible.
on his
Jeez.
face.
And I remember hearing that it cost millions of dollars to do that, just the CGI to edit it out, and then a couple people on YouTube just made it look way better with just a random computer, and slightly more talent.
Well, we reviewed Supernova, and they had to do some reshoots. Remember that? Like that was like half the budget. Is they had to go back and like reshoot like half the
you
movie
gave that
because it
you gave
sucked
that
so
an
much.
Ascension, and I gave that a 0.6. I'm struggling to remember why I gave that a score other than Ascension. I must have had some random reason.
Some
Talked myself
stupid
into
thing about
something.
talked yourself into the. I think.
Oh,
you
it
were
was because the
fascinated with
dimensional jump.
science.
It was the dimensional jump. Yeah.
The
Okay.
dimensional 14th dimensional beings in a 3-dimensional world or some bullshit that you
That's
guys
fine.
can talk about.
Yeah.
You bring yourself
Nice.
into that dumb shit. That's what happens in this podcast. Jad gets captivated by one specific thing, and the whole movie can suck. And then he's like, but this point is really good.
This thing.
Anyways,
Okay. Well,
all right, Jad, what are we doing next?
so next week is a bit of a departure from the sci-fi, and I think we've been teasing this a few times, and it gets back to what we mentioned at Demolition Man, another Sylvester Stallone movie. So we've hit a few of these. Next movie is going to be Driven. Has nothing to do with sci-fi, and it's just some random movie that he made about being a race car driver, and it's relevant
It was
because
IndyCar, I think. Yeah.
it's relevant because next week, for the first time ever in Ascension to 10 history, Spenny and I are going to do a somewhat live episode, live in the sense of
We'll be
in
together.
real life, because we are going to a Formula One race, and we're going to attempt to do a recording while we're there.
That's right.
So stay tuned for that. And there may be an additional video exclusive content from that week. So make sure you stay tuned and check out that YouTube page. So I
That's
think
right.
that's probably about it for this week.
For this.
Anything else on the docket?
That's right. No,
We
I don't
wanna
think
thank
so.
Alan for
I think
coming on.
that's
This was really fun.
Yeah, thanks, Alan, for coming.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for letting
is
me
fun.
finally get that off my chest about the oil from your nose.
And
That's really
you
important.
are
It's
a
amazing.
true friend.
Thank you. I really appreciate that, Alan.
And
That's
Jordan,
nice of you.
yeah,
Not
you
the
too.
best. Not the best.
You're also a friend.
A true friend.
I'm not going to label anybody a best.
No one has a
True
true best
friends.
friend anymore.
Nope.
But as always, you can find us on our socials, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Ascension To 10. And then, as we mentioned, the podcast is on YouTube at Ascension To 10 Podcast. So
Links as
he's
always
Jad.
in the description.
There's Alan. That's right. And also, if you like the song that plays at the beginning, that's from our friend Bryan, who will never be on the podcast again. So, as always, anyways,
That's it.
until next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Ascension to 10.